On the Wado Radio Show.
Yes, it's DJ Wado. It's the Wado Radio Show. It's more than music. It's ministry, man. And
yeah.
I don't know how many times I've had you on the show, Fedel. But it's always good to have you on, homie. How you doing, man?
Yeah. But this gonna be the best time, though, man. It's a pleasure, man. I thank you for having me. I'm excited, bro. I'm always excited to hear your voice, man.
Well, man, and it's so much we can talk about right now, man. You got your new EP.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Everything that's going on with this police brutality. You see, I had to take a deep breath before I said that one.
Exactly. Yeah, Kevin. It's funny because I wrote an article on July 4th. I got hit up. Daniel from Rapzilla hit me up and was like, I tweeted this.
I read that joint.
You read it? Okay, so let me hit you with that process, because I tweeted when he announced. I said Kevin Durant did more for race relations in Oklahoma than we'll ever know. Thank you, Kevin. So I got hit up. David hit me up and he was like, man, I need you to expound on that. And I was like, what you mean? He was like, man, I would like for you to write a blog about it. So literally on July 4th, I sat down and just wrote my thoughts. And I actually shared it with my wife and my members of my team, to Jenna, and I let them see it. And we sent it to and he posted it. And basically, I don't think anybody saw it from that perspective at all. But in that perspective, I addressed race. And me, I don't talk about it a lot, and when I do, I like to talk about it in the best context I can. So sometimes just a tweet is not enough. I feel like sometimes just posting on Facebook about, man, a lot of times that's just not my thing. But in this blog, I addressed just Kevin Durant's importance. Even though he was a sports figure to Oklahoma, he was more as a black man who lives in a majority white state, which doesn't have a lot of diversity and leadership here in the state. Kevin Durant did something that I hadn't seen done here ever. And he made it in everybody's home, not just as a basketball player, but as a black man. Like people really love this guy. And so even though I was disappointed he left because I'm a fan of the Thunder, man, I felt like there was a bigger thing that needed to be said about him being here in Oklahoma as a black man in Oklahoma, and it really came at a perfect time, being the events that happened later that week with the police shootings, and things like that. And so it was definitely something that I felt like I'm grateful to God that I wrote it when I did, because it was a perfect time.
Well, man, I always feel like sports and music are the two things that can naturally bring people in this country together of different races, ethnicities, socioeconomic backgrounds. That's what music and sports are, the two things that unite us in that regard. Yes,
especially in Oklahoma, because Oklahoma has huge college sports. We have Oklahoma State, and we have OU.
And the Sooners.
We have the Sooners and the Cowboys, basically. And those are two teams that are always at the top in college football.
Yeah.
And we also have huge high schools. We have high schools that championship games sell out the college stadiums. We have high schools who have high school stadiums the size of college stadiums here. Like, if I posted pictures of what the high schools look like, the high school, Broken Arrow High School in Oklahoma, has a practice facility for the football team.
Wow.
A indoor practice. It's amazing. Beautiful facility. And so sports are huge here. And I'll be honest, man, like being a black man who grew up in the hood, who was raised in a trap and went to a school where there was 12 football players, and so we played Iron Man. We had to play offense and defense in high school. That coming around and being around this type of environment blew my mind. it blew my mind. And so, but a lot of times sports are the only times where minorities get opportunities to kind of have leadership positions, to get a face. And a lot of times that's when it becomes a bridge for people of different backgrounds. Because another thing I posted on Instagram and on Twitter was that when everything started going on, I know I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but when everything went down in Minnesota and in Baton Rouge, when everything went down, because I know I have a lot of white people that follow me, I said, if you have black friends, I said, just listen to them. I said, just listen, because a lot of the things that's going on in America right now, it's a lack of us wanting to hear somebody else's perspective and just accepting maybe the world that I know it is not how I know it. Some of us was raised really sheltered, and some of us was raised where we wasn't exposed to injustice. We wasn't exposed to other things. And so when you don't have anything like that around you, you don't know, and it's foreign to you. And so a lot of times sports is when, even though we want sports to escape from the realities of what goes on, sometimes the sports figures speaking up are the only time some of us will ever see, like, man, if this is happening to him and he's a millionaire, he's a multimillionaire, and he's my favorite player, maybe this isn't just something people just keep complaining, because race coming from black people is almost white noise to white people. It's like they've heard it so much. They're like, oh, here we go again. That a lot of times, if the relationship isn't there to really sit down and have an intimate conversation, the information never really connects. Like, I had a 2-hour conversation with one of my best friends. He's a white guy. His wife, we talked on FaceTime this weekend, and we talked about race. He lives in a majority white community, a great people. I love the community. I go there, I go out there, and cause he's a youth pastor, and he brings me out there, and it's a majority white community. I know the families, and I get to spend time, and I get to talk, just have conversations. And he grew up in a different background, and sometimes those conversations are the only thing people will have, but you have to be willing to listen. My wife is white, my kids are mixed, so I have, like, the conversation is ongoing in my household.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's ongoing. It's something that that for me, it's real, because, like I was telling you before, like, I get to go home to visit her parents next week. And some conversation will come up where we'll just have the conversation, and it's healthy if you can approach the conversation in grace. If you can approach the conversation just understanding that, man, some people didn't raised around this. There was a white comedian, I forgot his name. I wish I remember his name. He was hilarious. He's hilarious, but he said something that was really funny. He's an older white man, and he said whenever I meet a black person that has gray hair, I always remember that they're old enough to remember when they couldn't use the same bathroom as me. And he says, I always feel like I should give them grace because of what they had to deal with. And sometimes the past of what we come from, man, it still lingers, because look, the reality is everybody loves their parents. We love our moms, we love our fathers, but we learned a lot of this from our parents. I remember when my father told me in the 2nd grade and built distrust with me to the police. I remember, like, he wasn't being a bad father, but he was going to be a policeman, and he told me some things like, look, if this ever happens, don't do this. This happened. This was my first. I was in the 2nd grade, and we was living in Detroit, in a rough area in Detroit, and I remember just that impression of like, don't trust the police, because he learned quickly how they looked at black men. And moving forward, like, I have to change that mindset. If I have that negative mindset, it'll come out when I'm with police, and I've had to work on that, because I get anxiety every time police are around me. And that, and partly is because of that, and partly is because to this day I have a mental picture of the first crooked cop I was ever around. I don't know if I've been more scared of somebody. I was living in Memphis, and I was a cop that I knew who would rob drug dealers, sell drugs back to the drug dealers. He was crooked. He also was the guy you could pay to get out of something. I'll never forget like the fear that developed, because he would come to the park. He was like untouchable in a sense, and no, like all cops are not like that. I have more great stories with cops than bad. I remember one time, I had a new car. I had a Maxima on 17s, and I was
On
newly
17s.
married. I had like 17s. I had some 17s on a Maxima, and it was dropped too. I was trying too hard, but I remember, man, somehow I forgot my tags were outdated a year, and I remember a white cop pulled me over, and bro, he could have took me to jail. I never forget, like. And he said, look, your tags are really expired. He was like, look, I see you got groceries in the back. I know you probably have a family. He was like, look, I'm going to give you a pass. He was like, but go get this done. I never forget that. I could have gotten deep trouble. So I'm saying I've had both experiences, but the negative experience of that cop in Memphis, it created an anxiety to this day that I deal with, of how somebody with that much power can abuse it. And so race will always be a complicated subject. Dealing with the police is something that, because they have so much trust, we want to trust them so much. When that trust is broken, a lot of times it can be tough, because, but it's something that we also want to remember, man. Everybody black and white, everybody black, most people black have somebody who is a cop in your family. We don't, like, the reality is somebody in your family is a cop somewhere down the line,
Yeah.
or you are one person away from a cop, and all cops aren't bad, and we know because we have friends, we have family that are cops and stuff like that. But the unfortunate incidents that's happened over the last week has just showed us that we have to take a look at what's going on. We have to re-examine. America is flawed, but just because it's flawed doesn't mean it's not beautiful. And I think a lot of people they have to see it as perfection to love it. And it's like, no, we have some issues in America. Like, we have some issues, and the black community has been crying out about some of these things for a long time. And a lot of times it has been ignored, and the thing we don't want to happen is cops start dying. That's not gonna help anything. It's not gonna help nothing. And when that happened in Dallas, man, it hurt my heart. It was just a lot of grief, because we had so much unnecessary murder. And not to mention Orlando, which is a different subject, but the same thing. But it was still unnecessary, innocent murder, where in that situation, we had a club of homosexuality, where I was disappointed in Christians at that time, because I felt I felt like Christians were being insensitive toward that because of what a lifestyle that people had. And that showed me as America, as even as the body of Christ, and as America as a whole, that we're starting to not value the human race. We're getting to the point where our beliefs, what we know, is mattering more than just us caring about who somebody is. And so that is bleeding through the human race. And of course it's a sin issue if we go there. But the reality is, the Brave EP, one of the reasons I named it The Brave is because I'm learning that I'm gonna have to do a lot more brave things to help move things forward. For example, I'm not really a good neighbor. And I'm coming to the point where I have to be brave enough to talk to my neighbors. Like, if I have to be brave enough to talk to random people in Walmart, and I have to start becoming extending care to people I don't know, and homeless people, and sometimes if it's not, give them something, pray, or just stand there even when they're asking me something, look them in the face. We've become so scared, the danger of being hurt by people, that we've started to cut people off. Social media has made us to not talk to people, not touch people as much, and I feel like we have to re-examine that, and we have to get uncomfortable and start, being brave enough to reach out and do things that's going to make us a better country, a better nation, a better group of people. And a lot of that's going to start with stuff that's just scared. We're going to have to do a lot of stuff scared, because right now a lot of people are scared, and we're going to have to face that fear and walk in and remember that, like, there are great people out there, and we all need the 4-letter word. It sounds so cliche, but we all need love, and we all need care. And it's time for us to start reigniting the one commandment God told us, to love our neighbor. And we have to put action behind that by reaching out and touching somebody. And I know for me, like, I was robbed by my neighbor when I lived in Memphis. I remember, I lived next to the trap house. I lived
broke in your house, robbed?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we lived next to a trap house, so we was right next to the dope house, and so I grew up in that environment my whole life. So, you got a love-hate relationship with the trap house. Like crackhead be happy one day and crazy the next. You know what I mean? And so you grow up with these anxieties, and you come out, you learn to watch every car pass when you done, been in environments where people pulled up and shot at you. You like these type of things. These are my personal experiences. Other people might have had different experiences. You know what I mean? But we have to face those anxieties. We have to face those fears. We have to in order to move forward, because right now we need care in our society. No matter if somebody's gay or not, whether you rock with that or not, we need, like I told somebody, I was like, bro, like, somebody's lifestyle should not make you look at them as not a human. Like, that's a problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when your disagreement is, you can't even look at somebody as a person. Like, you feel like they don't not valued. Like, that's the same thing as black people we're crying for. It's like, you gotta, like, just because there's a lifestyle difference don't mean somebody's not human. Like, it's whether you agree with it or not. And so I feel like we have to make sure that we go back to that, because I feel like we're losing that. I think the church as the church move forward, I even challenge the church. I think the church is in a place where I was very proud of, like, the Matt Chandlers, the Judah Smiths, the Carl Lenses, and Rick Warrens and Steve Fredericks, who spoke up after this happened, who said something about the tragedies. Like, they just showed care for what was going on. You know what I mean? They showed a genuine care for just what was going on, and it was tough, because there was some people who didn't, and it disappointed me that they didn't, because they talk about a lot of political issues that go on, which are important. But when this came on, it was like some people didn't say anything, people that I respect in leadership, and so I feel like we're in a time where we kind of got to get back to the basics of, and I'm challenging myself with this EP. I call it the soundtrack of the brave. My hope is that it push you past fear. You know what I'm saying? That it push you past your discomfort to do something that, sure, that is going to be good for you.
I'm going to tell you, man, me and my dad, we had a really interesting conversation yesterday about everything that was happening. And one of the things that from this latest, I guess, kind of round of police killings, and then I don't even know how you term this, man, but, deaths at the hand of an officer, along with the police in Dallas who were killed. One of the things I realized is something that you said earlier. You know what I mean? Is that for a lot of people, when black people bring up race, it's white noise for a lot of white people.
It's white noise.
And yeah, man. So I watched that first episode of The Preachers the other day. That show with John Gray and all that.
Okay.
John Gray said something that I thought was really interesting. He said, we've made too much of this a race issue and not a human rights issue.
Yeah.
Because when you make something a race issue, you automatically alienate certain people because they can't identify.
Exactly.
Right? So when you're saying, man, there's all these black men being killed at the hands of police, of course, if you're not black, you're going to be defensive, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you're saying, man, people are being killed at the hands of police and they're not being prosecuted, they're being innocently killed,
Yeah.
and you don't necessarily attach race to it at times,
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, like I can get with that. Like I can see that clear as day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not another agenda here. It's it's just a justice agenda, man. So it's I mean this whole thing I think is just interesting when you start peeling back the onion and looking at it from that perspective.
Well, yeah, because a lot of times, like when I lived in Memphis, I lived all black people, family black. Like my mom, everybody was black.
Yep.
You know, now I live in a community where I have a number of white I'm surrounded by white people. So I've been graced, and I not only have intimate conversations with white people about race, but white people who were raised with parents who were racist. And so when you have, like I have, you know, when you're having a conversation with somebody about what happened with Trayvon, and you know, and they, to them, like their logic, all they see is the anxiety of what he could do, because very often, like, white people are just scared of black people. Not all white people, like, but white people are just scared of black people. They like, I've lived in my community for years. To this day, when I go to Walmart, I can sense the anxiety of walking past a white person. That they just get scared. It's not like this in every community. I think in my community, it's a little more, because I travel a lot, and it's not like this everywhere I go. But there's not a lot of black leadership in my community, so a lot of times you're not used to seeing black people in places where they don't need you. So sooner or later, if you feel like somebody needs something from you, then you think they might try to take something from you.
Right. Or
you have the shame. Some people carry the shame of slavery. You know what I mean? Of what happens. Or there's different things. But when you, like John Gray, he's pastoring he's part of a pastor of a huge church, and I can't speak for him, but I'm sure he's been able to have conversations with a lot of white people to help him kind of have an evolved view on the issue. I know I have. It's like I'm sitting there and I'm having conversations with people, and I'm saying, man, like you got to understand something. Like, being like, I'm black all the time. Like, there's no break from this. So a lot of times, if you didn't know me, like, what would you think of me? You got to think, you love your favorite basketball player, but if he wasn't your favorite basketball player and you saw him walking down the street, would you be scared of him? And if you would be, challenge yourself on that anxiety, on that fear. Why? Like, why am I scared of, look, race, there's certain issues as people that if you have to just decide to do, because if you don't, like, nobody's gonna pat you on the back for it.
Right.
And this is one of them things where, like, you know, being in my situation of being in an interracial home, having mixed kids, like, race will always be something that's conversated. I've had pastors, thriving pastors who I've had really real conversations about race with them. I have pastor friends now who've adopted black kids, and I've had conversations with them that have been like, like crazy for them to adopt a black kid and then kind of realize how much it bothered their parents. Like, you know, they didn't realize how much of an issue it would be, and how and it's a complicated subject that if we don't approach it in grace, open-minded, when we're talking to people of other races. Like, I saw a video out of Dallas when Black Lives Matters was marching, and there was some white guys with, like, Confederate flags, and they were saying our lives matter too, and then when they met each other, they, like, hugged it out. Dude, it made my day. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It made my day to watch this video. Like, and I don't know who, man, I wish I knew this cop's name, but there was a girl who posted a video. I'm gonna post it on my Twitter. But she posted on Facebook how she went in a gas station and there was a cop there, and the cop asked her how she was. Is a white cop. She's black. The white cop asked her how she was doing, and she said fine. And she, like, I think she said she went and got something and came to the counter, and the cop looked at her and said, "How are you really doing?" And she, like, started crying, and the cop hugged her, and and I was like, bruh, we at the core, we all want the same things. But as a nation, we've had things go. We've had things that's in our history that we're still wrestling through. And this is just what it is. It's no easy way sometimes. Relationships are complicated. Any married person would tell you that relationships are complicated. We have a lot of different cultures, a lot of different races that are married right now, and we're trying to work through this, and we don't know all the answers. We're trying to figure it out. I know the millennial. I'm really encouraged by a lot of the millennials and a lot of the people coming, the new leaders. Like, they care about this. A lot of these, like, when I'm in these conferences and I talk, these guys have close friends of every different race, Hispanic, Asian. Like, it's not like having different races around you, and even gender. Like, you know, gender, like, it's same thing. It's just we're learning as a nation how to deal with this. And it's because this is a marriage and we're working through it. And I think that it hurt me. I was up when the cops started getting shot. I was up when Minnesota happened. I was up when Baton Rouge happened. Like, I was like, it was heartbreaking. Like, I remember waking up and I remember telling my wife, like, it's about to get bad. And that night Dallas happened, because I knew because I was 30 minutes after Minnesota happened, I was listening. I was on Facebook and I saw it, and I said, man, people won't be able to justify that. And one of my white friends called me. He said, man, my brother called me, and he said, my brother called me, and he said to me, he said, bruh, he said, I can't justify Minnesota. He said, bruh, he said, some of this stuff I've been in, he said, I can't. And Minnesota was one of them times where people were like, hold up, there might be an issue. Yep. Like even people who just been like, oh, they just come, might be an issue. And my condolences go out to the families of the cops, of the lost ones, like everybody who lost somebody, even Orlando. My heart has been heavy.
People hit a breaking point, bro. Minnesota was, and this is the thing, man. This is the thing. For those of us who are millennials, we haven't seen progress in this area.
We haven't, yeah.
So it's like, you know, like, I work with youth in my church. We had conversations Sunday. So all these kids are in high school, right?
Yeah.
Every single last one of them was like, how do we make this better?
Yeah.
25 kids. And not all of them live in the inner city. Yeah. Like, some of them from the suburbs. Parents doing nice. And they're like, how do I make this better? How do I get to a point where I'm not afraid every time a police officer pulls me over?
Yeah. Let me say this. Like, I still get anxiety when a police officer pull me over. Like, to this day, like, I the stuff that I've seen, like, just with police, like, it's something, like, even though I get, it's something that I have to face. And I'll be honest with you, I think that I've started doing this, like, because I don't think I can fix it, but I've started speaking to police officers more, just saying, hey, how you doing? Thank you for protecting the community. I've had to start doing that to help me mentally, because I saw a lot of really bad stuff, and like, people got to understand, like, even some of the no snitch rule, that wasn't just because people was trying to be hard. Like, people got to the point where they didn't trust telling the police. Like, right. I was like, you tell the police, they tell who told, and now you in trouble. Like, it became like, that didn't just start because it was like, bro, like, you didn't trust them. You know what I mean? And so it's one of them things where like the breaking point, like I know for me, I knew that I didn't know what was gonna happen, but I knew something was gonna happen because I knew what I felt. I was so hurt. I felt like worthless, depressed. Like I was like, how and like I'm sitting here and I'm like, bro, how does this not matter to people? Like I'm sitting here, I'm discouraged. I'm all of the above. You know what I mean? And when Dallas happened, it broke my heart again because I knew that wasn't the answer, but I knew people were.
But see, man, you know what it is though, bro? For people who haven't experienced a lot of the same stuff that we've experienced with police,
yeah,
or our friends have experienced, or our parents, or whatever.
Yeah.
I think a lot of white people, Caucasians, like they can't imagine the police being bad guys.
Yeah.
Because think about this, bro. Most of the problems in society, we always say the police will fix it.
Yeah.
Your cat gets stuck in a tree. Police will fix it.
Yeah.
Somebody gets shot in your town. The police will find them.
Yeah.
Man, I'm lost. I need directions. What do you most white people say, man, I'm going to ask a police officer.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like their experience with the police is so much different than ours, and it's hard for us to explain that because they're like, man, my experience, Wado, has just been so pleasant.
Yeah.
It's been so great. And by and large, for me, most of my experiences have been too.
Yeah.
But when I'm seeing people get killed, or I'm riding through my town, I'm riding through Newark at 11:30 in my minivan, and I get pulled over for no reason.
Yeah.
They just want to check my license and registration and run my stuff. And I'm like, yo, I'm a gospel DJ. I'm a deacon at the biggest church in this city.
Yeah.
I'm not moving drugs. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm not taking the package from the trap house right now.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But it's like when you've never experienced that, and your friends have never experienced that, and your family has never experienced that, you view the police just from a different lens than we do, bro.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, and I think that even though I think we as a nation and as a race of people are, I think this in the last week, I think there was some people who did kind of realize, they kind of hit the, man, there's an issue. It just, the reality is,
yep,
it has to hit certain people's doorstep for them to even take a look at it. Like, and this past week it hit some doorsteps that it's never hit. And I personally feel like the I know, even though I feel like, Facebook right now is, you got to kind of like turn off Facebook right now. Like it become crazy, like everything posting. I saw more people hit the realization button last week than I've ever seen before.
Yep.
Like, bro, this is a problem. Like, I saw that. And I know last year, like, it was a pastor I really respect, and he said last year, he was like, what's going on right now is not about race. And it was so tough for me to hear. And I was like, man, and I'll be honest with you, I think that's how a lot of people felt. And I think that over the last week, the realization, well, maybe there is something going on. I think that it kind of hit some people in a place where they were like, okay, maybe there is. And I think that it has to go there, because it can't just be black people saying something's wrong. Like, this has to be like a human race issue, like you spoke about earlier. It has to be something where other people are realizing, like, hey, because I know, you know what I mean? And shout out to Ann. I was proud of my white brothers and sisters that spoke up. You know what I mean? Like, I was proud of them. Like, I was proud of my white brothers and sisters who spoke up, because I know, you know, that's not always the most comfortable conversation for you to have. But I was
Difficult,
proud.
bro.
Yeah, I was proud. Yeah, it's not easy. I know it's not easy, bro. I know it's not easy for them. Like, so I was proud. I salute you.
You know what the best thing that we can do as believers, right? The best thing we can do as believers is keep having dialogue.
Yes.
Prayer and dialogue, bro.
Yes.
Like,
and look, hold on, wait. I'm all for prayer. I'm all for worship. I'm all for talking about heaven. All of that is great. And I know in church we're going to do all that. We're going to say we need to pray for our nation. We need to worship. We need more Jesus. Yeah. All of that is right. But do not let that replace conversation.
Yeah.
Do not like small groups. Like, one thing I love about the like right now, small groups are becoming really big because people want relationship. And I've been in church since I was 4 years old. Like, I call myself a church trap kid. I like grew up in the trap in the church. Like, I know how in the church, how sometimes we can, like, we pray like we need to pray. We worship, we need to worship. Say we all need Jesus, we all need Jesus. Times like this, let's do all three of those, but let's not avoid the reality of what's going on and don't talk about it. We have to talk about it. Like, it's like any marriage. No matter what, you need to work on your communication, and we need to make sure we're having that conversation with people that don't look like us, and people that look like us. And so I challenge, even as a church, like, ask somebody, listen, or just talk, or just voice, man, like, what are your concerns? Find somebody you feel is safe who's of a different race group and just ask. You know what I mean? Like it's the same. It's one of them things where I just don't want that to get lost in the sauce of us, because a lot of times, like, praying, I can pray in my own closet. I can worship by myself. I can preach to somebody but still not care about them, who they are.
Right.
But you have to have conversations. And this goes back, and I know this is kind of like a plug, but this is why when I named the project The Brave, like, dog, like, this stuff feels dangerous and scary. Like, it feels scary. Like, reality is, like the stuff that, you know, a lot of times we're concerned about the world we're bringing our kids up in, and we're going to have to just step up and do the things that scare us.
That's good, bro. That's really good, man. Project comes out July 29th.
Yeah, July 29th, the EP. It's I'm excited, man. Like, I'm excited because I've always done this. I've always prided myself on just making music I'm excited to make. Like, I've always done that. Even when, you know, people might not get it at the time. Like, I just do what I'm excited to do. And this particular project, I'm in my bag. You know what I mean? You know, I will be, that's the campaign. It's always the campaign. I will be Nation, you know, and the music is like to build confidence, to encourage you. You know, I got a song on there called The Brave, in which, you know, I talk about some things that, you know, mean a lot to me. But I also got the songs like Jabbing and Dabbing on there. I got those on there. Lit, Ass on there, if you've heard those songs. You know, but so make sure you pick it up. You can get it on iTunes, stream it on Apple Music, on Spotify. I just want you to hear it. You know what I mean? Come rock with me, vibe with me. I feel like my music is a straight vibe. So if you like the vibe, then, you know, come vibe with me on Instagram, on Twitter, and you know, we're gonna be on this journey together. So, Wader, I appreciate you having me. Real talk.
Hey, man, you know what it is, brother. You know what it is, man. What you doing the rest of the year, man? You touring? You like, got more music in the pipeline.
If anybody who, like, if you listening, you gotta follow me, because ever since last year I've been dropping freestyles. Like, I dropped a Commas freestyle by Future. I dropped a a poppin' freestyle. Like, it's called Poppin'. It was a street record that was real big. Most recently, I dropped the Panda freestyle that people really got behind, loved it. I drop music. Like, I drop what my fans ask me to drop. Like, if I'll ask my fans, like, what y'all want me to rap over, and if they pick, I did a Jumpman freestyle because the fans picked it. I did Panda because the fans asked for it. So, you know, I love the opportunity to make music. You know what I mean? I love making music. I'm in the studio being an artist because I love what I do. And so I let my fans kind of talk. I let my fans, and like, you know, pull me in the direction they want. And so right now, you know, I got a couple in the bag. Even though I got the EP coming out, fans been asking for a couple other things. I'm going to give it to them. And that's what I do, man. I give my fans content. And I realized after I dropped my album Flaw last year, like a month after that, my fans was like, man, I love this album, but I'm gonna let you know that I want more real soon. I had fans, I screenshotted it. Like, I was like, I remember I looked at it for like a day. I was like, man, like, my fans want me to give them stuff. And that's when I realized that I Will Be Nation, like, they want music. And so for me, I turned down stuff. I got in the lab and I said, man, I'm a do what I want to do and what my fans want me to do, and that's both make music. You know what I mean? I'm a proud Jesus follower. Like, I look at myself like I'm the everyday believer who living in this life. It's not just the church life, but it's Monday through Saturday, Monday through Sunday. And my fans are a bunch of people who overcoming stuff. Like, we know that what's ahead of us is stuff that we need to be encouraged to get past. You know what I mean? And I make that music to get them over the hump. I give them that real stuff. And so as for me, like I just do what my heart is telling me. And I'm proud to be able to do it, and I'm proud of my fans, man. I'm excited. I appreciate my fans. That Will Be Nation, and I got a lot coming for you. I'm gonna be on the road. That's what I do. Like, I'm doing a national student conference in a week or so. That that's kind of what I'm speaking at. I'm actually starting to speak more too. So I'm actually performing and speaking at this. And so I'm excited about that. But I got a lot of stuff popping off. I'm gonna be in New York. I'm gonna be in LA. I'm gonna be everywhere. So it's like, but just come follow me on the gram. You know what I mean? Have a conversation. We're gonna rock out. If you like me, you like waking up to new music. I like new music. I like artists that put out new music. Like, I ain't with the artists that be waiting all the time and doing, I want you to give me something. I want to hear your voice. And so if you that type of person, make sure you follow me. You know what I mean? And because I'm literally just a Jesus follower who walking this life just like anybody else. You know what I mean? I wrote Jabbing and Dabbing because I wanted to jab and dab. My kids wanted to dab, so I was like, I like dabbing, so I wrote Jabbing and Dabbing. You know what I mean? Like, I make music. I make what come to me. Like, if it's something that I enjoy as a man, you know what I mean, as a man of God or whatever, I'll make it, man, because I'm just an everyday dude that's out here that's living this life who wants to help encourage a generation to be braver than ever. So
that's what it is, man. Yo, Fedel, appreciate you, brother.
On the Way Radio Show. On the Way Radio. On the Way Radio Show. Where it's much more than music, it's ministry.